Welcome, this is Hugh Massey again. In this session, I'm going to be talking about the financial DNA goals discovery process. In the previous session, I addressed the importance of the client and discovering their life purpose, and that being the foundational to defining and setting their goals. Without knowing the life purpose, it's hard to get clarity on the goals and ultimately to stay committed to them. In this step that we're going to address now, in terms of the goals discovery, it is identifying which goals are important. Knowing your life purpose can help in separating out what goals are important. And a key part of our process here is to identify the difference between needs and wants. I often say to my children, as part of their upbringing, you will get everything you need and some of what you want. And I personally believe that's a good foundation from parenting, but it also brings home to them to identify with me and their mother what is really a need versus a want. A need being an imperative for life, for survival, critical to your life development, a must-have, a cannot do without. A want being something nice to have. And then once the needs and wants are identified, it's separating them out between short-term and long-term. Clearly, a short-term need is very important and should be at the top of the pile to be achieved, which means it needs to also be financed in most cases, or it needs a time investment or some kind of resourcing. Then identifying the long-term needs, and then come down to the wants. And in the process, we separate these out between these key areas of life here. So we break it down. And I just want to go back to one point. The short term, it means under 1 year. Long term is over 1 year. And we do this sort of going out to 5 years. So short term needs for Chris Coddington are expanding his business operation, investing in making more connections. He's a more introverted person. He needs to be out there more, living beyond himself to build his business. At this stage, he's also focused on his health. You can see that there. Travel's important, increasing his savings, and he needs to update his will. Long-term need is setting up the foundation. So that's a community-based need there. Short-term wants. So changing his current role. So that could be changing the role within his business. And knowing him personally, that was more making a switch between being the CEO towards being a chairman of the company. So he can step back a bit. Pursuing hobby, for him, that's golf. And starting to give more money. And then there are the long-term wants. These items come from a standard checklist that we have. So it's more of a tick the box exercise, but it does help the client to start separating out what is a need and a want, what's short-term, what's long-term. Of course, when you ultimately go to defining your goals that are specific to you, you can take these points further and expand it out. I think it's great if you can get to 20 to 30 clear goals. This exercise takes 10 or so minutes to do. but it becomes much easier and clearer again if you know your life purpose, which goes back to the quality life planning exercise that we talked about in the previous session.